Okay, Tom, nice to meet you. I'm
Nice to
Frank
meet you
Matano.
too.
It's a great pleasure. I want to start off by saying that compliment you because I was born in 1989. You're born in 1996.
Yes.
Usually, great, like famous and really good American actors, the old American actors, I can never put my finger on their talent because they're older and maybe they're just like born really, really good actors.
Right.
With you, that we grow up in the same world, in the same culture, in the same environment, we can say, I can really like grasp your talent, and I really
Oh, thank
appreciate that you
you.
represent our generation as a young actor. And
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's
Oh,
very
you're-
sweet of you to say.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So I saw the movie. It's awesome movie. I'm a gamer. I play a lot.
Okay,
Do you
fantastic.
play video games?
I do play video games,
Okay,
yes.
and like usually with movies, sometimes they bring you a book and you say read the book because it's from the book.
Sure.
And this time it's from a video game. Did you have to like play all over all the games? Like, did you play some Unchartəd to study the role and see how Nathan Drake moves?
Yeah, I mean, I was a huge fan of the games beforehand, so like I didn't have to play the games again in order to say yes to the movie. I knew what I was getting myself in
Of
for.
course.
I knew the kind of experience and adventure this was going to be. But you're right. As soon as we started prepping the movie, it was very important to us that everyone involved in the creative aspect of the film had a good understanding of what these games sort of stand for. So, you know, we all were playing PlayStation all day, every day, getting back into the character. You know, for me as a young actor, when a director says you need to read this book to research a character, I'm like, oh, it's so boring. But now that someone has given me the opportunity to play a video game all day,
Of course,
it's
that's good.
a lot of
That's it.
fun.
And by the way, I think the movie, I saw a lot of movies like that, I don't know how to say it in English, but that brought from a video game. And I think this movie is really, really, like, it respects very much the video game world. Some of the scenes when you, like, go up or do some action stuff, it really looked like playing the movie. And I think
Right.
that's really cool to see a movie like that. And I saw that for your character, you're really, like, slick in a lot of things. Like,
Sure.
you do, like, a pen spin while
Right.
you're right. Did you have to learn that, or did you say, I know how to do this, and I think the character would do this?
The little pen spin thing is something I've known how to do since I was at school. But for me, like, you know, the flipping of the bottles and catching and
Yeah,
pouring drinks
exactly.
and, you know, the way in which he fights, he's a very handy person. He's someone who's very capable but untrained. So for us, you know, we wanted to create a character that could do things that, you know, that anyone could potentially do.
Of course.
But he just does it in a very stylish way.
Yeah, so that's really cool. I didn't think of that. Like, you have to be slick, but you don't have to be like look prepared.
Exactly. We didn't
Yeah.
want him to be fighting with a perfect
Of
fighting
course.
style.
Oh,
Like,
that's so
we
cool.
we wanted him to be a little bit looser while also being very calculated. So it was a fine line we had to walk. But you know, we worked with a fantastic stunt team, and my two doubles are incredible at you know, designing action and fight scenes. So it was a lot of fun, sort of coming up with his style.
And since you're young, but you already have all this experience in adventure and action movies, like, do you find yourself watching old action movies with a different eye, like appreciating more? Maybe, I don't know, if you watch a great action movie star from the past, do you see, oh, I always gave for granted how good he was. Do you find yourself studying the scenes differently when you see an old adventure or action movie?
Absolutely, and I think one of the things I study most are the stunts. You know, if you look back at some of the old indie movies,
Yeah.
you know, before the world of CGI, where everything is kind of practical.
Of course.
You know, you have that incredible shot where I can't remember how, but when they're falling out of the airplane in that boat, and there's clearly someone who's just in that boat jumped out of an airplane with a parachute. You know, for me, the old school way of stunts is so impressive, and
Yeah.
for us as creatives on this film, it was very important to us to try and recreate some of that magic from the
I
sort
think
of
you
back in
were
the day.
successful,
you know?
yeah.
Thank you. You know, a lot of these stunts that we do in this film are for real. They are practical on practical sets or practical locations. So it was a lot of fun. You know, some of the old school indie movies, like the
Do you
stunts
remember
are
like
amazing.
one in particular that, like, an
me-
actor that you enjoyed his work of? Like, I think Jackie Chan is like one of the greatest ones.
There's a fight scene in this movie that we took a lot of influence from Jackie Chan.
Oh, really?
He is someone who is so good at using his surroundings to better himself in a fight. So that scene behind the bar where Nate is he uses a bottle at one point, and then he uses a sort of plunger, and then, he uses the vodka to breathe fire. So for me, that is something that is very sort of Jackie Chan-esque.
I think it's really interesting that you read the screenplay, and the surroundings everything becomes a prop, right? In an action scene. That's so great. That's awesome. I didn't think of that.
It was a lot of fun.
And do you since your big success, you live in where do you live in England? Right?
I live in London. Yeah.
Yeah, in London. Do you get back to your old friends, and how's that relationship going with your old friends? Because the question I wanted to ask is, always returning back to how the times have changed. Before, I think the magic of an actor, a big worldwide known actor, was that you couldn't, it wasn't palpable how he was in private. Now with social networks, you really have to put yourself out there. And how do you manage to do that? Because I think the magic of actor is knowing less things as possible of the person. How do you do social networks and protect the magic of your characters in movies? I don't know if you understood the question.
Yeah, no, I understand. It's a great question, I'm very selective and calculated when it comes to what I post and when I post, I think my fans really understand and have been very, very respectful, especially in the last few months, that my private life is my private life, and I like to keep certain aspects of it to myself, We already share so much of our lives out with the world, so it's important to us that, we keep certain aspects to ourselves, but it's just a fine line. It's just something you have to slowly figure out. As a younger kid, I was probably a little bit I probably shared a little bit too much.
Oh, really?
Now as an older person, I'm slowly sort of starting to figure out that I'd like to share a little bit less, just because my private life means a lot to me.
Of course, I started in Italy. I'm an actor, a comedic actor in Italy, and I started with social networks. I got known with that. So I really try to suggest to every young kid to not posting something at 16. It could not be a good idea in the future.
Yeah, it's there forever.
Oh my! So did you do some stuff that you regret posting on the internet? Not crazy stuff, but whatever.
I don't really regret anything, but I've posted things I look back on and I'm like, that was a strange thing to post. But it's not.
Yeah, but it was spontaneous.
So yeah, I was a kid, so I was just enjoying myself. But it's something I'm very conscious of, and as I said before, I take my private life very seriously.
That's good.
And
I really have a lot of respect for your time. Really.
Thank you. I really appreciate because of the
interview. And I read that since I'm a comic, I read that your father he was a comedy.
Yeah, he's a stand-up comedian.
Did that help with your acting career? Maybe in Uncharted, you're really funny, and it's really hard to be funny and do the scenes right. You're such a professional in doing that. How do you mix the comedy with the action? And did your father help you with that?
My dad has been incredibly instrumental in, the success of my career, whether it can be helping me write a speech for something I have to do on stage, or, in my early career when I would do interviews, my dad would help me with the answers because I didn't really know what to say.
So nice.
Whenever I have a film that I think requires a little bit of humour, I will send him the script and say, Dad, will you just brush up some of these lines for me? And he always comes back pretty promptly with, ideas here and there. And, some of his jokes I don't get. Some of them, jump off the page and they're perfect. There's a few jokes here and there throughout Uncharted that I have to credit to my dad. He's been a huge influence for me and a great role model. He's a wonderful, wonderful man, my dad. So I owe a lot of my sort of success and my persona publicly to my dad.
That's all right. My father is a cop in Italy, carabiniere, so he never helps me with my stuff, but whatever, he gives me protection.
Nice.
And I wanted to ask you, the movie is about a big adventure, but the treasure of the movie, I think, is in friendship and love and passion. How did you and Mark Wahlberg are really, really funny together.
Thank you.
How did your relationship on set, did you talk about the scenes? Did Mark help you with the scene, or maybe doing it better for the relationship that you have?
Yeah, no, I mean, we just got along really well, if I'm honest. It was something that came very naturally to us. The chemistry between Nate and Sully is really the heart and soul of the film.
Yeah,
so it's very important to us as actors to get that right. You know, a lot of the banter that you see in the film between the two of us, sort of taking the piss out of each other, is very real. Like, that is kind of just who we are. We were always sort of going at each other, which was a lot of fun. So it wasn't something we had to particularly work very hard towards. It came very naturally, which is always a pleasure.
That's good. That's good. So, in Mark Wahlberg in the movie teaches you like a way to cheer in Spanish.
Yes, I saw that. Yeah,
and I wanted to gift you a way to cheer in an Italian
Fantastic.
way from southern Italy.
Okay.
So let's say we have glasses. Okay, so it's Aisa Isa Isa.
Aisa, Isa, Isa.
Agala Gala Gala.
Agala, Gala, Gala.
Acosta Costa Costa.
Acosta, Costa, Costa.
Beve ma salute chi non dosta.
Wow, I don't know that last
Beve
bit, but
ma
let's drink.
Beve ma salute chi non dosta. Vabbè, it's just the
Sì.
ending. Yeah, and drink. Cheers.
Grazie.
And I wanted to close with, I have a joke for you that
Okay.
I wrote years ago, and just to end the interview or whatever.
Tell me.
So, do you know how many seconds it takes to count from 1 to 10? I'm going to tell you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Around 12 seconds. Did you like that joke? Okay, thank you so much, Tom. You're awesome.
Thanks, matey. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.